Welcome to the Cult of Domesticity podcast, a podcast about history, true crime, and whatever life brings us. I'm Courtney, and every week I am joined by another fascinating person. Let's see what we're going to talk about this week.
Welcome back, devotees. This week, I have the lovely Wine and Punishment crew with me.
Hello!
Do you guys want to introduce yourself and your podcast?
Of course. I'm Cassie.
And I'm Daniel.
And we host Wine and Punishment.
So we're not used to this intro because it's not our normal rant that we do.
It's very true. So our podcast is true crime. I'm just going to do our spiel. We drink a lot of wine and we discuss the punishment on our podcast.
It's very true. And unfortunately tonight I'm not drinking wine, so I'm cheating just a bit. Just a tiny bit.
Well, I think we'll allow it, but I'll let Courtney vote on that.
I'll allow it because I have wine, so I'll be your substitute.
Good, because my old-fashioned is quite delicious tonight, so...
Oh, that sounds delicious.
He's also drinking it out of a very fancy-looking glass, so he's old-fashioning it up, I think.
And there's a blood orange in here, I went all out on this one.
It's true. He goes all in.
I just have a giant... I eventually want to get a goblet, like a Game of Thrones medieval goblet. When I record.
You must.
Do it.
But I just have a giant wine glass that can fit about half a bottle of wine.
Wine glasses that we love. We're on board
yes.
with.
And I have a 19 Crimes wine. I don't know which one it was. It was on sale, half off.
Oh, so. God. I love 19 Crimes is... There's no wrong bottle of 19 Crimes. It's so good.
It's very true. The Australians are making good wine with that one.
It's those Australians.
Yeah, and then I have a backup bottle of Portuguese Fino Verde, which is my favorite.
Oh, that's my favorite.
Daniel just fangirled so hard because he loves that bottle.
So I'm going to say that I've discovered that they make Vino Verde Rosé.
What?
Yes,
Yep.
It will change your life. I recorded last week for our episode that's coming out in a few weeks.
Yep.
Rosé Vino Verde. So good. So good.
God,
oh my God, thank God I'm going to Jungle Gyms tomorrow.
There you go.
I'm going to go look.
I love it.
I'll have to send you guys a picture of how much wine's in this place.
Oh,
it's insane.
Yes. We love wine stores, so please.
Yes. We love wineries.
We love all things wine.
It is like a giant wine store next to a giant beer store plus an international grocery store.
Wow. So it's like a Target, but better.
Yes.
It's like, I think they described it as 2 football fields.
What?
Oh.
Of wine?
Oh.
It's a compound of food.
Oh my God. I might have to go to Ohio just to visit this store.
I might need to just go live in this store. I would never have to leave.
Daniel, I think our next vacation will be to Ohio to visit this wine store.
Okay, all right.
Done.
All right. Forget Vegas. We're going to Ohio.
Amazing.
You can also go to the Party Source in Kentucky, which is just across the river from Cincinnati, and there's a bunch of wine in there. There's a bunch of beer, and there's a bunch of liquor. So.
I love your knowledge of all the places you can get good alcohol where you live. I love it.
Isn't that what you're supposed to do? How to get people to come
yes.
visit?
I mean, that's how you get us to come visit. So, that will happen at some point.
I mean, it's essential.
I am planning to go up to Miami soon, Miami, Ohio, because they have their wine festival. And basically, it's their little town square, and you can walk around and get drunk really cheap.
My favorite thing, because I swear to God, Daniel and I both registered Miami, Florida, like you do. And then you said Ohio, and it took us, I think, at least 10 seconds to register that you were not in Florida.
My favorite T-shirt that the stores have, it says "We were a university before you were a state."
Oh,
because we're petty like that.
That's respectable. I like that so much. I would wear that
hurts.
shirt. Oh my gosh!
Which is funny because I have no alumni stuff. I have nothing except for my diplomas and some rugby gear that say Miami on it.
Did you go to Miami, Ohio or Miami, Florida?
Miami, Ohio.
Okay.
I was there for 6 years of my life.
Wow. Okay.
Don't worry, 3 degrees later. So it was
fair.
time well spent.
Fair.
Which, I mean, if it takes you 6 years to get one, that's fair. I just
Totes.
had an in.
Had an in.
For grad school, I had an in. I knew all the professors. That was my in. It was like, hey.
For grad school, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
You already know the department. You're like, hey, let's be friends. Thanks. Now you're giving me money. Cool.
thank you. Pay for my college.
Yeah, I mean, the grad program for history there is really great. So I was like, I'll take 2 years of more school and not going out into the real world.
Yeah. Yeah.
As one does.
Mhm.
As one does.
It's true.
It's what I
The real
did.
one's scary. And normally, outside of college towns, beer and booze isn't that cheap.
True. That's very true.
Yeah, in DC, the cocktails are not cheap. Ooh.
No.
Is anything cheap there?
Not a thing.
No, not a thing.
Not a thing.
I was going to say, except for the politicians.
Oh, I like
Oh.
that.
True.
I like that a lot.
Politicians are cheap and the museums are free. That's our one thing that we've got.
It's true. And really good
I
food.
could spend days there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Rightfully so. It's beautiful. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you guys want to tell us what we're going to be learning about?
Of course. So before we dive in, Courtney, are you familiar with the Lululemon killer?
I think so,
Okay.
but I have a problem where I listen to so much true crime that I don't remember until I'm halfway through a story.
That's fair. That's fair. And we can relate to that, I think.
It happens to us most times.
Yep. So my only other question, have you ever worked retail?
No, but I've done customer service a lot. So
Yep. So
Fair.
I think we picked this case specifically because I worked retail for many, many years. I was a manager. So this story just really hits home. Daniel also worked retail, I don't think for nearly as long. And
We're talking like 3 months of retail. Like,
were you
not
only
much.
at Barnes and Nobles for 3 months?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So I worked retail for like 4 years.
did you steal all the books in 3 months? Because I would steal all the books.
You know, I had to like do anti-theft one day because there was a person who was stealing books. Like, it was the most exciting day ever. They were putting them into a trench coat, and I was just like, really? Like, right in front of me, and I'm like, I have my name tag on. Like, why are you doing this?
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, they got the trench coat too. I'm just like, just picture I'm going into an alley. Hey kids, you want some books?
I mean, I would be okay with that sort of back alley sale. You know, getting kids to read, that's important.
You want some Harry Potter? I got some Harry Potter.
I swear to God, I thought you were about to say heroin, and I was like, Daniel, that's not where we're going with this
No.
joke.
No.
Do you want some 50 Shades of Grey? I got the 50 Shades of Grey.
How about 50 Shades Darker?
Ooh, 50 Shades
I
Free.
got your sex ed right here with 50 Shades of Grey.
So, the Lululemon killer takes place in Bethesda, Maryland, or as Daniel and I would refer to it, the state that we hate.
Yeah, it's true.
We're not allowed to like people from Maryland. If you lived in Virginia or DC, it's a rule.
It's a rule. Like, you always hate Maryland people because they cannot drive. They cannot drive is the reason why you hate them.
They're pretty bad. They are pretty bad. But Maryland, the state we hate, if you haven't put it together by now, not you, Courtney, I know you did, but your listeners, we are going to go to a Lululemon store. Oh, good old Lululemon. So we have Jana Murray. She was the closing manager on duty. She had her sales associate closing with her, Brittany Norwood. It was March 11th, 2011, so not that long ago.
Peak Lululemon time.
Peak Lululemon time, exactly. Before they had all that, like, controversy, you know?
But I mean, Lululemon is still like big in like Georgetown. Like,
Oh my God, everyone is Lululemon.
If you're going to SoulCycle, you've got to be wearing your Lululemon.
Literally, the last time I saw my mom, she was wearing a pair of Lululemon leggings, and I was like, Mom, you are not that cool. What are you doing?
Take those off, Sue. Take them off.
They're just so expensive for stretchy pants.
Literally,
Exactly.
go to Old Navy. They are the same. They're the same.
I love Old Navy leggings because they actually have, if you get the athletic ones, they have support.
They have support. They are not see-through. The new ones now have pockets, which is amazing.
What?
Yeah. Oh my God. I bought 2 colors. I have black and pink. Girl, go shopping at Old Navy. They're amazing.
Oh, yeah.
All for the pockets.
Get on it. Get on it. Fit your phone.
Until you've gone somewhere without pockets, don't talk to me.
It is such a problem. It is such a problem. So, okay. We are at the Lululemon store. We have closed it down. Our ladies are walking to their car. They are, going home and go to bed. It's fucking late, right? Okay. So, Brittany. She texts a coworker because she forgot her wallet inside the store. So she she wants to go back and retrieve it. So she texts a coworker, hey, can you give me Jana's number? Jana. I called her Jana. So she texts Jana. They go back into the store. Oh, goodness. It is roughly 10 p.m. at this point. The Lululemon shared a wall with the Apple store, which, creepily enough, I shared a wall with an Apple store for most of my career in retail. So this was very eerie for me to do these notes. But the Apple employees are closing down the store. I don't know how Apple employees close down a store, but they're closing down the store when they heard noises. These noises included grunting, thud sounds, dragging motion.
Oh.
Nope.
They also heard, and I quote, high-pitched screaming. That's not okay, guys. That's not okay. That is terrifying.
I mean, at that point, someone needs to be calling some security guard, something, because that's not normal.
Oh my God. And this is my whole problem because the Apple employees, best I can tell, did everything they could do. They alerted security. The staff told their managers. The managers discussed it with other managers. At the end of the day, they called security. I couldn't find out if security did anything, so I assume they did not.
Sorry, that's when I go, I'm calling the po-po.
Right? You hear screaming. Oh my God. Ugh.
That's not a security issue. That's a police issue.
Yes, because
it's not theft. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and
I don't have a problem.
Here's the thing, guys, and I can say this because I worked retail for so long. You have a specific playlist that you are so sick of. So when you're closing down the store, the first thing you do is turn that music off because you've listened to it for 8 hours. So you either listen to your, you can hear everything is what I'm saying because it's silent. So they had to have heard it so clearly. Oh, all right, I'm done. I'm moving on.
No, it's so true though. If you work in a restaurant too, you hear that same playlist and you turn it off for the night. Everyone is so happy.
Like you cheer.
It just brings up the mood.
You cheer because it's just so obnoxious. It's the worst music. And then you have you have one good song and then it's ruined.
And then you can hear anything that's happening. Because I've worked in a restaurant where we've closed, turned off the music. And people have tried to come up to the bar and get a drink. And we have to be you just hear them open the door and everyone's like, oh no.
No, not going to happen.
And then they always looked at me because it was a bar and hotel. And they'd be like, Courtney, hopefully it's a guest. And I'm like, fuck you. Fuck all of you. I'm technically not even working. I just live here.
Come on, guys. So I had a really funny moment once whenever my husband, Matt, also our producer, him and we met working retail. We were both working at the Gap, right? Well, we had to keep it secret because I was just promoted, brand new manager, blah, blah, blah. So we were secretly dating. There was another employee, a male employee, who decided to ask me out once. On the floor, we are closing down the store. Matthew is there within earshot. And I had to turn him down. It was a whole thing. It's horrible. Noise carries in a shopping mall. That's the point of my story.
Oh, yeah.
That's the point of my story. So now we were the next morning, opening manager arrives to the store about 8 a.m. She's probably drinking her coffee, maybe a little cranky. She gets to work. Door is unlocked. Door is unlocked. Alarm has not been on, right? Like, these are all red flags. Oh, but
This is a mountain of red flags.
This is a mountain of red flags. That's such a beautiful way to say it.
This is not good protocol.
Oh my God. So this girl, bless her little heart, but I thought to myself, like, I would have gone in that store too, because I would have thought, like, our merch left it open. I'm going to be annoyed, but I'm going to go in the store anyway.
I wouldn't go in. I would call someone. I'd be on the phone with someone. If I had to go in, I'd be like,
And you know,
this is shady as
I
hell.
really thought about that. But in my head, I was like, because you're a merchant, and I was a merchant for a long time, they get there at like 5 a.m. They're there all morning. But also, like, you see their car in the parking lot. Like, there are clues you put together. This baby girl did none of these things. She goes into the store. Oh, goodness. All the lights are on. She walks around like no one's actually, like, closed down the store. Everything is out of place. Oh, and then she heard someone moan.
Oh,
Nope.
Mhm. Yep, moan.
This is a giant old mountain of nope.
Yep.
Next to the giant mountain of red flags.
Yes, all of the mountains, they are there. But this girl puts it together, guys. She puts it together. She deuces out. And this is my favorite part of the whole story, guys. So she runs outside. And there is a man at 8 a.m. outside the Apple store because he wanted the newest iPad. So he was waiting outside the Apple store at 8 a.m. Thankfully. So she grabs this man, this good Samaritan, brings him in the store with her, asks, like, will you walk into the store with me? Because she's scared for her safety, right? So he does. He goes all the way to the back of the store.
Real life question, though. Because she is, I'm going to call it, she was following the true crime mountain of, oh my God, there's been a murder.
Yeah. Yes.
It's the mountain range of true crime. But what if he was faking it and was the murderer?
Oh my God, that is literally my next comment, Courtney. I literally was like, I appreciate you, girl, but what if he's also a murderer? You are walking into a dark place all by yourself with a strange man.
You're just asking for it at that point.
And just like, thankfully, he was on the up and up. She is fine. Other people are not, but she is fine. So he walks to the back of the store. He sees a woman lying down, appeared to be dead. He sees another woman tied up. She was actually tied up with zip ties, scratches. She had a big laceration on her forehead. Her pants had been torn at the crotch. Assumed there was a sexual assault that had occurred. We're assuming at this point because the police have not arrived. Thankfully, they arrive. Brittany was alive. She is rushed to the hospital. Layla was dead.
Jaina.
What?
Jaina was dead.
Jaina? No, it's Layla. No, I wrote Layla. Oh my God, I think it autocorrected. I'm so sorry, guys. I usually mispronounce things, but I did write Layla. Thank you, Daniel. Jaina was dead.
You can't beat me in 33% pulp having, the guy's name was Poot, and it changed it like 12 to 12 different things as I did like voice to text while doing reading notes.
Oh.
It was great.
Oh.
Poot came up. And all this other fun stuff.
I like that you do voice to text notes. I'm impressed by that. That's a good idea. I might steal
that. When I'm reading, yeah. Like if I'm reading a book, it's helpful.
I like that. So Jaina, not Layla like my notes say, she was dead. She had been attacked with multiple weapons. 6 to be exact. 6 different weapons.
Whoa.
Yep, that's what I said. Mm-hmm.
That's a half dozen. That's a half dozen too many.
Yeah.
Yes, that is such an accurate thing to say.
It needs to be one and done. Just one murder weapon's all you need.
Or just one. Or no murder weapons. Stop murdering each other, guys. So
again, let's just go with how about you don't murder people?
Can we?
True.
Let's just try it. Try it. See what happens. So
talk your feelings out.
Pop a balloon instead. Just take a balloon and pop it. Like, same thing.
Fully agree. So, of these weapons, there was a hammer that was used.
No.
There was a wrench, a knife, and the worst part, in my opinion, because I know exactly what these things are, There was a foot-long metal bar that was used as part of a merchandise rack. You will only know what that is if you've worked retail. And those of you who have worked retail, you are horrified as I am. This next part, guys, you'll know what it is. It was one of the pegs that held up the mannequin, at Old Navy. Those pegs.
No.
Yep.
Oh.
Which should be a safe item. That should be safe, but it's not here. So she suffered 331 injuries. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a whole lot.
That's rage right there.
Yes.
Rage.
So of these... Sorry, go ahead.
And it looks like he's just grabbed things around him. I'm going to assume it's a man.
Oh, girl, you are ahead of me on this. We've not gotten there yet. But you are correct. I will tell you that. You are
My
correct.
true crime mind is
I
working.
love it. I love it so much. So 331 injuries. Of those, 107 were defensive wounds. We're not good at math, Daniel and I.
Nope.
But we do know that equals about 1/3 of her injuries. That's horrifying.
Defensive wounds.
Horrifying.
Yeah.
No.
Also, this is not a podcast for math, so
Oh, thank God.
don't
Good,
We're in a
good.
safe place.
I did history and international studies. I didn't do any math.
It's a real struggle. It's a real struggle for us.
Yeah. I may be architectural design and history as well, but I do bare minimum math if I can help it.
Yes.
Do you look at it and go, that's a number?
Yes.
Mhm.
That's a ratio right there.
Yep. Those are some circles and some lines. That's all I got.
I can add up enough to figure out the dimensions of this house, and I don't need to know anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. On board with all of this. So the medical examiner ruled that her cause of death was a stab wound to the back of the head.
Oh.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, Cassie. So we've divided up the notes, and it's now time for the investigation portion of this crime because, stuff happens after the medical examiner does the autopsy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like Brittany was taken to the hospital. And that's where our story sort of starts, in my opinion, is Brittany going to that hospital.
Oh, yeah.
So Brittany was taken to the hospital on the morning of March 12th. I'm assuming she probably went to Bethesda, because at first I was doing this and I was like, oh, she went to Georgetown. And I'm like, no, why would she go to Georgetown if this was
Definitely
Bethesda?
not from
No.
Bethesda.
I'm like, no.
At 8 a.m. in DC traffic.
No, she was not going to Georgetown. Sorry.
I just love the debate about which hospital. Because you can tell you guys have both lived in DC.
Yep.
So I'm just like, yes, I've heard of these
That's-
places. I've watched enough NCIS. I know things.
Or Criminal Minds, but yeah, this is why we
Yeah.
love local cases.
I've driven through to get to Richmond. I've been at the edge of DC. I
Yes,
know
girl,
things.
I love it.
Yes. So we're assuming she's going to the Bethesda hospital. And there happens to be a security guard there. But he's only there part-time because he's actually a police officer. And so this is his side hustle is being security guard. And
Which is sad.
Yep, right?
Which is very sad. Pay them more, please. So they're not having to side hustle.
Please.
Of course,
People who should not have to side hustle. Police officers, firemen, EMTs, teachers.
Yes.
Yes. 100%.
Yes to all of that. So the ambulance comes in, and Brittany is in the ambulance, and he begins to conduct a physical examination because his training as a police officer is showing up. That's what you do whenever someone comes in that's a victim. And
Wait. The security guard is.
yes, the security guard is. Yes.
She's in the ambulance.
Uh-huh.
There's EMTs there.
Right.
He's taking charge.
Yes.
I'm just going to add another red flag.
It does feel like a red flag, doesn't it? It's interesting.
Like a medium-sized one.
but it's for good reason.
And I do want to interject. These notes are taken directly from the court transcripts.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
that's all I'm
yes.
saying.
Thank you, Cassie. Thank you, Cassie.
If you could see me, I would just have little ears up being like,
So our police officer / security guard has taken charge. He's doing the examination. And he notices that there's something off with Brittany's hand. That there is a 1 to 2 inch laceration that is on her hand that is typical of someone grabbing a knife and having it slip in their hand, which just is terrifying to me because I'm like a klutz and I'm like, oh God, I can feel the pain going through my hand at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no.
But it's not typically a wound that someone gives to you. It's something that you do to yourself, you know, like I said, on accident. So he's got a red flag going up right there. Brittany, why is that there on your hand? What's going on there?
Not quite a mountain, more of a molehill at this point.
Yeah, you know, just a little, you know, inquisitive, like, question.
I like it.
A baby red flag, if you will.
A baby red flag.
Yes.
And unfortunately, after this point, we don't know what else happened because the officer's testimony was stricken from the court records.
Ooh.
So, yeah. So, their reasoning was that he wasn't qualified to observe the injuries, which, I'm sorry, he's a trained police officer. Maybe he is qualified. He's also a security guard, and your EMTs didn't notice this, so I feel like he's probably in good shape right now.
Plus, to give expert testimony, that's such a like fast and loose term, expert. That could be anyone.
Yeah. You know, I could say I'm an expert in like plants and, you know, say, there we go, which I do most days, and I could have no clue what's going on.
I was going to say, I think you're actually an expert in plants, though. I think that's true.
It's true for the most part, but yes.
But they would also like establish your expertise before you'd be on the stand.
Exactly.
So like, that's weird.
Yep.
That seems like the defense attorney doing their job to protect their client.
Mm-hmm.
One could say that.
Yeah.
One could say that.
Which, I mean, is just them doing their job. Doesn't mean the person is innocent or guilty. They're just getting a defense.
True story.
I've been listening to a lot of Getting Off. Sorry.
There you go. There you go.
Which is not, it's not a porn podcast, I promise.
You know, when you first said it, it took me a second. And then I was like, oh my God, I love that podcast. But in my head, I was like, wait, what the fuck was she listening to?
It's like Miami, Florida, Cassie. Don't worry.
Jessa and Nick will probably have... We had some confusion tonight. It's fine.
But the best type of confusion, guys.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's very true. So other people doing their jobs happen to be the detectives who are investigating this case. So on March 12th, they come around and they begin to question Brittany what happened during the crime because she's alive and Jana is dead. So, you know, and she was tied up. So that's what you do whenever you've got someone that survived a crime. So Brittany told the detectives that she and Jana had gone back to the, you know, shop. They had gotten the wallet, and about the time that they were leaving, that two men wearing masks walked into the store. So keep that in mind, listeners, that masks cover faces, and I'm going to give you some details after that, which might be another red flag or two or five. So, according to Brittany, she was attacked by one man, and then Jana was attacked by the other. They were doing the divide and conquer. They're separating the two of them and going after them. So, Brittany's attacker was approximately 5 feet, 5 inches, which I just want to say, I feel like this was a personal assault on short guys like myself.
Yep.
Just saying. Just saying.
Also, that's so specific.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
Like,
so
how do you-
specific.
How do you know he was 5 feet, 5 inches?
Uh-huh.
Did he walk against, like, one of those, like, rulers that's on the back wall?
Yeah.
You know?
I'm thinking if I had to describe someone, I'd be like, okay, well, they're about as tall as they're like a couple inch, like 6 inches taller than me.
Mhm.
So,
Right. You would,
it would be that detailed.
Yeah, the
Yeah, you
fact
wouldn't-
that they was like 5'5", that's so suspicious.
it's like, how do you know they were 5 foot 5? Did you measure them with a yardstick while they were attacking you? Like, come on.
The only way that would not be suspicious is if she was 5'5" and she was like, he was the same height as me, 5'5". I don't think that's what's happening here, but that's all.
No. And then she also says that, remember, these guys were wearing masks and that they were both in their mid-20s and they were Caucasian. And I just wanted to be like, dear, if they were wearing masks, how could you tell that they were in their mid-20s? Also, how could you tell that they were Caucasian? Like, how?
I guess I could kind of see that if they did have gloves or they had, like, you could see some of their skin.
Mm-hmm.
But the mid-20s, be like, ma'am,
Ma'am, I'm sorry. Could you see their crow's feet? Could you see their wrinkles? Like, were there lines on their forehead? Like, how do you know they're in their mid-20s?
But not for nothing. I am 32 years old, guys. I have no idea how anyone under the age of 30 is. I don't know how to tell age anymore. I have no idea.
Makeup is a lie.
Yes. Yes.
Makeup is a construct.
Age is a construct. Time is a construct. Everything isn't real.
Also, it's a flat circle.
But my thing, if I was a cop, I'd be like, please say that deeply into the microphone, man. Let's get you really on record on this.
Can you say that one more time? I want to hear that you said that they were in their mid-20s. Like, let me hear that.
Really?
Let me hear that.
Really enunciate.
They were in masks. They're in masks, and they were in their mid-20s. Okay, cool.
I think they were about 22.
They were 23, really? 23 and a half, and the other one was 24 and,
3/4.
4/5,
4/5.
I knew their exact birth date and blood type.
I'm pretty sure they were Virgos. I forgot all of the signs, guys. They all left my brain at the exact same time. I
was literally about to say Virgo.
Well, I'm a Virgo guy, so I feel attacked.
That was the only one I could remember. I'm so sorry. I really wanted to say the Taurus one. That's the one I wanted to say, but I couldn't remember it in the moment.
Oh, God. All right, so we have our mid-20 Virgos here that are committing this crime.
So it's me, guys. It was me.
Guys, Courtney's the real killer.
That's all you need to know.
Spoiler.
Wait, it was 2010? I was not in my mid-20s then. Sorry, it's not me.
You're off. Never mind. You did not commit the crime.
Then I would have been in high school, so yeah, definitely was not committing crimes.
That's good to know. That's good to go.
True story.
Nor were we. So, check that box. All right. And Cassie, I'm going to scream at you for making me have to say this comment since you came up with these notes.
I told you could edit them however you wanted.
Yes, but this is something that has to sort of be told.
It's
Brittany
true.
then told the detective that after or during the attack that she had been raped and sexually assaulted with a clothing hanger.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
I just want to note Daniel's words. She said she had been. Foreshadowing for later. That's all.
Yes. She said she had been. Didn't say that she had proven that she was, but she had said that she had been.
Based off of Courtney's reactions, I really just wanted to,
anybody who claims sexual assault
right.
and has not been,
Mm-hmm.
I want to smack them upside the face.
Yep.
Yes. I will just say I agree with you.
Yep. So she tells the detectives this on March 12th. March 14th, 2 days later, the detectives come back, and Brittany has brand new details. She lets the detectives know that, guess what? The attackers, they know my name, they know my address, and the detectives look at her and be like, all right, here are your options. You're going to have to wear a wig, you're going to have to get a sex change, you're going to have to go to, Canada, you're going to have to go live in a nunnery, these are your options. Get a nose job, it's got to be bigger as opposed to smaller. All of these things are going to have to happen. And the police said, well, they probably found bills that were in your purse, and therefore they know your address. But because of this, we're not going to put you in witness protection, but you need to let your family know so they can be aware of this. Possibly go to Switzerland, take up cheese making, take your pick. Really, we've given you the entire gamut of what you can and cannot do at this point.
I'm going to go to Switzerland. They have really cheap beer.
They also have cheese.
My favorite is that it always comes back to alcohol, and you're such a kindred spirit, and it makes me so happy.
Anyways, back to the murder, guys. Back to the murder. We're not done. Sorry. So, 2 days later after that, March 16th, the police come back to Brittany because there was something she said, maybe something she did, maybe some detail, we're not sure why, but they started to view her as a suspect in this case.
You know why?
Why?
It's Brittany, bitch.
Oh, yes.
Daniel and I both just lost our minds as you said that, for the record.
Oh, except this Brittany is not as lucky and she's not a star, so, you know.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful.
So, Brittany goes back to the police, to the headquarters, and they get fingerprints and they get hair samples so they can eliminate her as a suspect from committing the crime, because this is something that you have to do. The following day, Brittany's brother and sister call the police and they're like, hey, there's something that's off of her testimony just a little bit. Like, we feel like she has, you know, maybe kept a few things to herself. Like, you might want to prod her just a little bit more. And so the police ask her a question and she confesses and she comes forward. And she states that, you know, if you investigate Jana's car, you're going to find my DNA in that car. Because whenever we were attacked, the two of them, after they killed Jana, made me get into the car and drive it. And then they told me that, you know, if I did something like drive away or anything like that, that they would kill me. And I just want to be like, dear, if you're in a vehicle and they're not, you go to Wanda on that and you drive the fucking car over them at that point because you are in a much bigger weapon.
You run them bitches over.
That's when you think of Ludacris and you say, move, bitch. Get out the way. Get out the way.
Exactly.
I love your song references. They're making me so happy right now.
I mean, but it's true.
Yep.
Like, you know, if you're in a vehicle,
Move,
like,
bitch.
and they're not, you know, put it in reverse and just run over them. Like, problem solved at that point. No more attackers.
True story.
No more attackers. So at the
That's what I would do.
Exactly. So at the same time, police psychologists were like, you know, and looking at the details of the case, and they began to, you know, question about why would someone leave Brittany alive but kill Jana? Like, if they're going to brutally kill Jana with like 331 wounds, but why would they keep Brittany alive? Like, they only tied her up. Like, that's suspect.
And very few injuries. Like, it was really just the laceration on her face.
Yeah. It was the laceration. It was the cut on the hand that we already said was a red flag. She was tied up. Like, it was very little damage to Brittany. So it begins to, you know, start the question of, well, did this person who was attacking know Brittany and didn't want to harm her? Or was there something else that was going on? They were going with the something else going on.
It seems like they're separating the red flags and lining them up to make a little path
Yes.
through the mountains.
Yes.
We'll keep going with this.
they're forging a path through the mountains.
It is like, you know, the Fellowship of the Ring trying to get through the mountains, and they've hit the snow, and they realize they need to go down through the mines of Moria.
Yep.
Exactly.
And
sorry, that just got real nerdy.
No, I was following along every single moment, and it made me so happy.
Right?
To the mines of Moria.
Oh, God. All right. Focus, guys.
We will go full Lord of the Rings right now if you don't keep going.
All right. Are we good now? Are we good? Okay.
I'll just back away from the mic and let you talk.
All right. Thank you. Because I am not a Lord of the Rings aficionado like the two of you. So
I was going to say, I could have done that all night, but carry on, Daniel.
I know you could have done it all night. I have been there whenever you have tried to do it.
That's what you said.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Yeah. So the police were also, when they were doing their investigation, they noticed that all of the weapons, and we mentioned that there were 6 of them, happened to come from the store. The wrench was from the store. Obviously, the mannequin pin was from the store. The other things that I'm blanking out on right now, they all came from the store. Nothing came from, you know, the killer's own repertoire. Like, where were the personal effects from home? No. He used the wrench that was there. It was found. It wasn't brought in. So this is, Yet another red flag. So, they start canvassing the area around Lululemon, and they go to the Apple store because we mentioned earlier it was right next door. And we mentioned that once the music was turned off, that they could hear things going on next door that they really should have contacted someone about, but chose not to for some reason. I don't know why. And the Apple employees mentioned that they heard 2 different female voices the entire time. They didn't hear any male voices. There were no male voices threatening anything, just 2 female voices. So one female voice stated, "Talk to me. Don't do this. Talk to me. What's going on?" And a second voice stated, "God help me. Please help me." And the Apple employees were 100% certain that it was 2 separate voices, that it wasn't the same person doing 2 different voices. So it sounds like there was an altercation of some sort between 2 different females. I'm just assuming things, guys. Really.
Dun, dun, dun.
So, in case you didn't know by this point, spoilers, Brittany did it. Brittany did it. Whatever it was, Brittany did it.
Oop.
It was Brittany.
So,
bitch.
It was Brittany,
could
bitch.
you say that maybe, oops, she did it again?
She did it again?
Yep.
Yeah. She messed with your heart.
No, she took your heart.
I can't remember the next lyric, but it's scary because I can.
Got lost in the
I
game.
literally,
Oh, baby, baby. Oops, I did it again.
in my head, I was doing the full dance. I just couldn't remember what the next line was.
I'm sorry, the dance is much more important, so
Thank you.
unfortunately, podcasting is not a visual medium.
It's true.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
very
true.
sad about this.
It's such a
If-
struggle, isn't it?
If only you knew how many times we wished it was a visual medium.
Dear God,
Oh,
yes.
God. Just,
Doesn't everyone dance in the middle of recording?
we do, and the faces that I make are
Yep.
just like, shock whenever Cassie's telling me details. Like,
I think if you don't dance, you're doing it wrong.
oh, yes,
That's all I was saying.
absolutely.
Or you're not having enough fun?
Yes.
Yes.
At some point, you need to dance it out. You know, if you're going to hit a bad part, you're like, wait, dance break.
You just have to have a little dance party.
And rock out to Brittany. Like, just do it.
Obviously.
Britney, bitch.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so at this point, detectives had to piece together how the sequence of events went down. We know that Brittany called a coworker who called Jaina. Jaina came back to the store to get the wallet. We know that once Brittany was back there and they had the altercation, that Brittany decided that she was going to do some staging, as one does in retail, to try to sell some products.
I mean, I always stage my product around murder. It looks very nice, the motif. You're like, thank you for coming to this JCPenney's. Avoid the crime scene. Yep. Wouldn't you like some nice jacket?
She was optimizing that product, to borrow a term that we used at Barnes & Noble to move it.
Optimizing the product.
She was optimizing that product. So to make it look convincing that Brittany was indeed the victim and not the person who committed the crime, she put on a men's size 14 Reebok tennis shoe because at Lululemon, because it is athleisure, sportswear, lifestyle, whatever the hell their mantra is right now, they want the customers to actually try on the product to see if it's going to work for them whenever they're exercising. So prior to going to SoulCycle in your, Lululemon, you have to try on the cleats and this and that to see if it will actually work for you.
I mean, shoes make an outfit. They make or break an outfit.
They really
Of
do.
course.
And if you don't want to get blood on your shoes, put on someone else's shoes and walk around in them. Which is what she did in those size 14s.
Oh my God. Oh shit.
So she also confessed that she moved Jaina's car, which we knew, and her DNA was in there. Makes sense, either via the story she told or what actually happened. We know that she moved various items in the Lululemon store to make it look like it was robbed. Some mannequins were thrown around. We'll imagine there's, tank tops strewn everywhere. There's leggings going off the cash register. It looks like I wanted to say a rave happened, but I don't know if that's quite the right term I want to use in this one.
A rave murder.
Right.
That's horrifying.
A rave in the middle of that Lululemon. Like,
I mean,
they were just
I don't
nuts
shop at a Lululemon, but if someone was like, hey, there's a rave down at the Old Navy, I don't know if I would rush or if I would just stay away. I don't know.
I would probably go in the opposite direction, to be honest. Like,
Yeah. I'm sorry. Have you been to stores when they're packed or afterwards?
That's true.
horrible.
I have worked several Black Fridays and I didn't relate the two. You're right. I would run away. I would run.
go in the opposite direction.
Yes.
So, in order to make it look like burglary had happened, she removed 3 bags of money from the safe, scattered it around to the wind, and we'll imagine that she, made it rain with, Benjamins everywhere. I don't know. I'm making that one up, guys. It just feels right. The story leads me to believe that one. We know that she, injured her hand at the very least with a knife, and she had the gash on her forehead. She also faked the sexual assault, we'll put it, and destroyed her pants with the hanger, and I don't know if anything else happened. I don't want to know if anything else happened. And then she bound her hands and her feet with the zip ties. And then she laid down in the floor near the body. And all I want to say is, thank goodness it wasn't a long weekend. Thank goodness that, they didn't have a late start the next day. But she laid there for multiple hours next to her victim in the victim's blood. And I'm just like, what sort of crazy individual would have done that? But she did it. Mm-hmm. She did it.
Which is horrifying. But she is arrested. I will take over this next part. She is arrested 1 week later, which is so quick, charged with first-degree premeditated murder, and this was a new one for us, second-degree specific intent to kill. I have no idea what that is. None.
We didn't look it up. I must admit, I didn't do research on it either, Cassie.
I actually meant to, and I forgot. My apologies. But it was.
It seems like it's somewhat premeditated, but it wasn't.
It's
maybe they pleaded down to it.
Yeah, or like conspiracy to. I have no idea. I have no idea. But so trial lasted for 8 days. Jury deliberated for 21 minutes.
It's not good for you, Brittany.
No.
20 minutes? Do you know how long it takes me to do anything? 20 minutes is
more than 20 minutes.
It is nothing.
It sounds like the Emmett Till trial where they basically went in. We're like, let's have a cup of coffee. Do kind of like an informal vote. Okay, good. Come back.
Yes, that's.
Yeah.
Oh my God. They just had time to sit down and then anyway. So 21 minutes. They have a verdict. She is found guilty. She is sentenced to life in prison, no possibility of parole. And that is the Lululemon killer, Brittany Norwood.
That is so messed up because there's so much rage behind that.
Right?
Yeah.
For no reason.
300 injuries.
Just no. Pop that balloon instead. Pop the balloon instead.
Right? Go do yoga. Something.
I don't know how the police didn't get it after the 300 injuries because no one does that many without, it's normally a personal attack.
Yes.
Right. And I feel like that was the red flag for them of, there's 331 injuries to Jana, but Brittany had 2 scratches.
They were scratches. They were scratches. Yeah.
That's crazy. So do you guys want to do some plug-in? Tell everyone where to find you?
Totes. Let's see. I don't have my little cheat sheet in front of me, so I'm going to do this from memory. Guy, we are on Twitter, Wine Punish Pod.
We have a Gmail account. We're wineandpunishmentpod@gmail.com.
We're on Facebook. We also have an Instagram, Wine and Punishment Pod. So that's where you can find us, guys.
You can also go into iTunes and find us as well. If you want to listen, we're also on Stitcher and Spotify.
Yes, all the places, I think.
Yeah, all the places.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then tune in next week while I tell them of an old-timey crime solver.
Ooh.
Yeah. I love it.
Okay, guys. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, y'all. Nikki T here to tell you about my new Arkansas-focused true crime podcast. I'll be covering lesser known cases out of the natural state. So join me on Mondays for all new episodes. You can find Strictly Homicide Podcast on most podcatchers, including iTunes, Podbean, Google Play, Stitcher, and more. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Patreon by searching for Strictly Homicide Podcast, and on Twitter at Strictly HMICIDE. Y'all stay safe.
Cult of Domesticity. We're available on all podcatchers. Remember to rate, review, subscribe to help spread the word, or just force other people to listen to it. Our Facebook and Twitter are at Domestic Podcast, and our Instagram is at the Cult of Domesticity. We also have podcast merch at Threadless. As well, if you want to support us financially or show some appreciation, we have a PayPal tip jar and a Patreon, which has some pretty great perks. Any topic suggestions, feel free to email us at domesticpodcast@gmail.com. Remember to stay domestic and cult-free.